Hello, everyone, and welcome. Let's give it a minute for people to join before we make a start. Okay, I think we are now ready to make a start. Hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Canellas. I'm a departmental lecturer and course director for the MSc in Sustainable Urban Development here at Oxford University. So, welcome. Thank you for your interest in the program. So, the session today, this is how it's structured. It will last about 45 minutes, and we will guide you through the MSc in Sustainable Urban Development. The first 20 minutes, I will tell you about the program, and then we have 20 minutes for you to ask us any questions you might have. Please use the Q&A function. My colleagues working in the background will be addressing some of the questions you might have throughout the presentation. But then in the final 20 minutes, I will look at the questions myself and address any questions that might have not been addressed yet. So, program overview. This is a taught part-time program delivered over 2 years. It's delivered by academics from across the University of Oxford, here at Lifelong Learning Department, but also from other departments, other universities, but also something that is quite unique about our program. We give a strong emphasis on having the voices of industry practitioners. This course is designed for working professionals, and it's delivered also by working professionals from worldwide, really, and with diverse backgrounds. The program also runs in partnership with the King's Foundation, and we will tell you a bit more about that in due time. So meet us. So I'm Patricia Canellas, current course director, and these are my colleagues. So let me start with the course administrators, Sarah Cox and Fiona Sibyl. And academics. Academics, we have Dr. Nihan Alkailkin, Dr. Idalina Baptista, Dr. Francisca Froy, Debin Hopkins, David Howard, Professor Nigel Meddy, Professor Vlad Mikenko, Dr. Matthew Hardy, and Ben Bolgar from the King's Foundation. So you can see from our last names that we ourselves also come from very different places in the world. And that's hopefully an asset to this program, because we can bring experiences from all across the globe, pretty much, draw on your own experiences and your own questions in terms of sustainable urban development from your own cities and countries. And this makes the program very diverse in terms of our geographies, in terms of our concerns, but also in terms of where we mobilize knowledge from. So who is this course for? Over the past 15 years, we have had more than 300 students. We have now a very large network of alumni from over 60 countries across the globe. This program is really designed for those operating in a range of urban contexts worldwide. They might be working for the public sector, private sector, or third sector organizations. We normally have a wide range of professional backgrounds, ranging from architecture, planning, law, economists, real estate developers, and a number of other professional backgrounds related to the built environment. The course fosters collaboration, creativity, perspective sharing, and network skills. We put a lot of emphasis on this idea of perspective sharing. We want you to benefit from each other's knowledge and experiences, and we ourselves tend to draw a lot on your professional experiences to bring particular cases to the lecture room, the seminars, to inform the discussions we have around sustainable urban development. So a bit on the pragmatics, the course structure. So the MSc is taught through 7 in-person, week-long units and 1 online unit. 6 of the in-person teaching weeks are held in Oxford, and 1 is held in London, in the headquarters of the King's Foundation. The online unit is delivered during your year 1 of the program, with weekly engagement from mid-January to the end of March of your year one. So the program starts in October. You'll have 2 in-person teaching weeks, and then the third unit will be online, and then all the subsequent units will be face-to-face. I'll give you more detail. So year one, first unit, Introducing Sustainable Urban Development, held here at Oxford. Second unit, Climate Change, also at Oxford. The third unit I just mentioned, Researching the Urban online. And I'll give you more details on when these teaching weeks happen, the provisional dates for the 2026 academic year. Next slide. So our fourth unit is Financing Sustainability. And our fifth unit is Sustainable Mobilities. In year two, you come back this time to London for the unit named Place, Community and Urban Design, delivered at the King's Foundation. Then a few weeks later, you come to Oxford for Southern Urbanisms. And then finally, for the final unit and teaching week, you come back to Oxford to the unit on governance, leadership, and future cities. So as you could probably understand from what I mentioned, just as in terms of you come back to Oxford, most of our students don't live in Oxford, and many of them don't even live in the UK. As I said before, this is a worldwide ranging masters. And so many of our students continue their full-time jobs. The program is designed for students to continue their full-time jobs with this engagements in person 7 times and 1 online unit in March. So the first teaching week happens in October 2026, the second in November, and you can see the more precise dates on the slides. The third unit is delivered online. The fourth unit is in end of April, and the fifth mid-June. Then you go back home, wherever home is. You continue working, doing your reading, doing your dissertation preparation. We'll guide you through what you need to do in between these teaching weeks in a second. And then you come back to the UK for year two, another week in person, this time in London, at the end of October 2027. And then go home again, come back in January 2021 for Southern Urbanisms, and then again in March, early March 2028 for Governance, Leadership and Future Cities at Oxford. You then go back home, continue working on your dissertation. So course commitments and assessment. So we now incorporate various assessments, such as essays, personal reflection on your CO2 footprint, for example, but also on uses of the theories you will learn in this program in your professional life. We will also ask you to develop a funding proposal, a policy analysis, and at the end of the program, the research dissertation. Throughout the program, you will develop practical skills that are highly valuable in the workspace. We will train you in research skills, which is a fundamental part of the course. We believe that if you're prepared to do research on your own, which is what we train you to do, you will be prepared. This is something that you can take with you for life. It's a transferable skill that will last for the remaining of your professional career, pretty much no matter where you are in your professional career, at the stage you are in your professional career. So Oxford University life, it's quite unique, as you probably know. As a matriculated postgraduate degree student, you will become a member of one of the university colleges. The collegiate system makes studying at Oxford a truly special experience. Oxford colleges are friendly communities where you can immerse yourself in seminars, dinners, and informal occasions. This is all additional to the experience provided by the program and the department, and a very important of Oxford experience and student life. So we have a couple of quotes to try and give you a flavor of what former students, now alumni, how they see the masters. So we have Rachel here saying, I have recently started working for the UK's largest housing association. Such projects involve complex economic, social, technical, and environmental considerations, which I feel more confident in analyzing and responding to following this masters. From Marvin, Marvin says, I saw the MSc as an opportunity to enhance my competencies and expand my critical knowledge to progress my career mission of meaningfully contributing to the knowledge and practice of city climate action. So for more information, please visit our website. You can scan the QR code now on the screen and you can join the mailing list for more information. So this is the end of the formal presentation. I will now look into the Q&A and try and address any questions that you might have posted there. Okay, so I can see two questions. So first question I can see, I have already done masters in renewable energy and sustainable technology. Can I do the second masters in the UK, or can I directly do a PhD in the urban development subject? Plus, please tell me the scholarship for both the MSc and PhD if they are available, and what is the criteria and eligibility. Right. So the short answer is the PhD program that we offer here at the department, the Sustainable Urban Development, is a different program. Of course, there's synergies. We both teach in both programs, but it's actually a different application process. And there are scholarships, but any information on scholarships you can follow and you can find more information on the website. We have actually more scholarships for the MSUD than the DPhil, I believe, but please double check our website. You could apply both to our masters, or you could apply both to a PhD if you have already a master's degree. So second question I can see. Is the course still accredited by RICS? Very good question. And does it lead to possible accreditation with RICS? So let me address this first question. As some of you might know, the course has been through a major course review. So there's a few changes from the previous version that we've been teaching for 15 years. So what I've presented to you today is the new version of the program, and we are now going through the process of accrediting the new version. It's likely that the program will be accredited in 2026, very likely, but we can't actually, put it into writing as yet, considering we are going through the process right now as we speak. The second question I can see here in this cluster of questions is there any focus on historical built environments and or cultural heritage in the urban context? Yes, this is sort of the key area of knowledge of one of our delivery partners, the King's Foundation. And this is the focus of Teaching Week 6, called Place, Community and Urban Design. It's one of the focuses, is where the historical built environment comes across more prevalent in our discussions of sustainable urban development. The next question from the same person is it expected that for the Oxford Weeks, you are resident in Oxford? Is it possible to commute from London? Right. So we have had both from our previous students. It is definitely more comfortable to stay in Oxford if you can, in the sense that classes start at 9. It's very often that we have evening events, dinners, extra seminars, besides any other events organized by the students or even informally by us tutors. So it's nicer if you could stay in Oxford rather than in London, but it's possible to stay in London. The commute will be a bit expensive with peak trains, and it will require early mornings, really early mornings, but it is possible. It's the short answer. And the next question, why was the course reduced to 7 weeks from previously 8 weeks in person? Very well. So being a program in sustainable urban development, one of our key concerns was with the program CO2 footprint. And having students flying from all across the globe 8 times into the UK was something that we were feeling increasingly uncomfortable with. We therefore decided to pilot having one of our teaching weeks delivered online. But rather than delivering it online as in a compact one teaching week, which we don't think works very well in terms of the learning process, we redesigned the program and the module that we are now going to deliver online to make it into bite-sized sessions and sessions that will be synchronous and asynchronous. We will try and accommodate to the different time zones. So there's a number of aspects that needed our consideration. But the reason why we moved some content online was to deal with our CO2 footprint and be coherent with what we teach in a way. We're piloting. We might move not for this cohort in 2026, but in the future, we might decide to move another teaching week online. But we actually cherish very much the in-person element of the program. As many of our alumni referred, these teaching weeks are a real pleasure, not just in terms of intellectual stimulation, but also in terms of the social elements that come to it. So we don't want to miss out on that. That's why we only moved the content, the equivalent of one teaching week rather than more. I hope that addresses those questions. The next question, and I'm not reading names intentionally because the session is being recorded, so apologies for not reading out your name out loud. So how many hours of study would be required during the weeks we are in our home country? Right, so this is something that it's quite important for you to know and to plan ahead. On average, we say that we require about 20 hours of study during the weeks you are in your home country. This is an average, so some weeks might be significantly less, but then towards the end of the program, when you're, say, doing your field work or final stages in the writing up of your dissertation, this will become perhaps more than 20 weeks. You might want to take a week off just to work on your dissertation, etc. So on average, 20 hours a week. It's quite demanding. We acknowledge that. You are expected to do significant amounts of reading before and after the teaching week, the in-person teaching weeks. Okay, very well. Next question. How is sustainability approached from a planning, social justice, environmental, or economic perspective? Right. So I wouldn't say that it's or, but it's sustainability in the way we teach it strongly relies on the so-called 3 pillars of sustainability: the social, the economic, and the environmental. As I mentioned before, the staff comes from different countries, but also from different backgrounds. I myself am an architect and planner, but other colleagues are economists, others anthropologists. I'm sorry. And so we all bring our different disciplinary angles into the seminar room, and we all try to address the challenges of sustainable urban development, which involve reconciling these different and sometimes conflicting goals. I hope that addresses the question, but this is what we do throughout the 2-year program. It's actually addressing some of the elements that this question tries to capture. Now, next question says, perhaps I've missed this point, but can you explain the supervisory portion and the writing requirements of the MSc? Yes, we didn't give much emphasis to that, so I'm happy to speak to that now. So in a very Oxford style, you will have a tutor throughout the 2-year program. The tutor is your first port of call. And it's someone who you will meet for each one of these in-person teaching weeks, but also during the online unit. And every time you meet your tutor, you do it for a particular purpose, initially to assess how you're dealing with the assessments and how you're finding it, challenges, but also things that are working well. So a bit not just pastoral, but there's a dimension of pastoral care, which additional to your tutor from the program, you will also receive from your college tutor. So the supervision towards you learning or relearning how to do academic writing is sort of scaffolded. Week on week, we will give you new skills, new material to read, tailored to your own individual needs. So your tutor will be fine-tuned with your own individual needs, considering your background, your stage in your career, etc. So there's a range of assignments, one assignment per teaching week. And then at the end, you will have to submit a 10,000 word dissertation. This will be the submission date is September of your year 2. And in order to move you from a research idea into a research project and a dissertation, a written dissertation, you're going to be guided with your tutor initially, then your dissertation tutor. The Researching the Urban unit will play a very significant role in helping you to learn the craft of research, if you will. Not just sort of data collection, but data analysis and writing up. So it's significantly well structured with a lot of support for students to complete their research dissertations successfully. This is a very important element of the learning process, and we take great pride in having some of our students actually publishing their work afterwards. So the next question says, thank you for this presentation. I'm busy doing my MPhil in Southern Urbanism. Is there a PhD version of this course that is also open for us as scholar practitioners? Yes, definitely. Please check our website to see more information on our PhD. At Oxford, we call it DPhil program, and you will find more information there. Next question. Says, hello, Prof. Nice to see you again. My question is, during the teaching weeks, how many hours per day are typically scheduled for classes? For example, do they usually run from 9 to 5? Yes, indeed, activities run from 9 to 5. We tend to include a very diverse range of activities throughout the day. So it's not only lectures, but it's also reading groups where we discuss reading that we all have previously done. We have case studies discussion. We have working in pairs. There's a number of activities that we use, pedagogical tools we use to make the learning as effective as possible. Let me see. I have quite a lot of questions coming in. Let me see. So could you please speak more about the new weekly online component? Is it also a week long, or does it follow a different format timing wise? It does follow a different format. We thought it was not effective to have you sitting behind your desk for a whole week. So we decided that the online version, and we are drawing on our learning from the COVID years, is going to be much more sort of bite-size units. We expect weekly engagements, but it's much more as and when you get the chance, you can drill on the asynchronous elements of the program. There will be synchronous elements as well, because as I said before, we believe that the social element of the program, or learning from each other, is something that we do actually quite well. We get very good feedback, and we don't want to lose that element of it, even though we are going to deliver this unit online. So the next question this is jumping a bit, my question, so maybe they are disappearing, the ones I address. Let's see. I hope I'm addressing all questions. Are there specific themes or modules that focus on cities or urban environments in the Global South? Yes, absolutely. Many of our students come from Global South geographies, and many of the problems of rapid urbanization are actually happening in the Global South. Therefore, Global South is covered throughout the entire program. However, and after significant consideration, we decided to keep one unit, one teaching week, entirely dedicated to Global South matters. So Teaching Week 7, called Southern Urbanisms, is entirely dedicated to aspects to do with the Global South. Obviously, trying to link it back to discussions we had in previous weeks, more related to Global North contexts. We actually discuss if these designations are useful and to what extent, and what are alternative ways of designating these different geographies and their particular urban problems. Very well, next question. Does the MSc program facilitate internship opportunities? Well, not formally. We do have, as I mentioned before, a number of practitioners teaching with us, alongside us in the program, and therefore there's a lot of opportunities to engage with industry actors and partners, and to try and get these job opportunities out of getting to network with the number of practitioners that are involved on a regular basis delivering the program. The next question. I have completed an MSc in Energy Systems. Will the admissions committee focus more on my master's degree or my undergraduate records during the application review? Right, so we will look at your application, at any application as a whole. We do have some grade thresholds, but we do also take into consideration professional experience, for example. And so there might be cases where the students do not necessarily have the grades that we present as minimum, but they have significant professional experience to make them students that we think will benefit from the program, but also benefit the whole cohort by bringing discussion points that are relevant to the whole cohort. So there's no, just the master's or just the undergraduate, but we will look into your highest degree, and then we'll look at all the other professional and educational background. So are there any assessments during the residential teaching weeks? The residential teaching weeks prepare you for an assessment that you will be doing in your home country after the teaching week. So normally you will have between 4 and 5 weeks to address the assessment that is introduced to you, and it's related to the topic of the residential teaching weeks. So say, for example, teaching week 1, you come to Oxford, you're with us for the whole week, Monday to Friday. You go home perhaps Sunday or next Monday, so you can enjoy Oxford for a bit longer. And we will have covered the topic of, in this case, introducing sustainable urban development. You will have been exposed to a number of resources. You'll go home, process all this information, and address, in this case, is a formative essay. So we will have 4 to 5 weeks to write a 3,000 words summative essay, meaning this first one won't count towards your final grade, because it's really just to train you into what our expectations are, into what academic writing looks like. Some of you might know it, others who have been in practical professional life for a long time may not recall what that is. So the first assessment is formative only. But this is the pattern. Every teaching week you come, we explore the topic, you go home with a number of resources for you to further explore and to write something around that topic. What that something is varies week on week. As I said, it might be a policy analysis, a funding plan, a self-reflection, on theories or CO2 usage, etc. Okay, next question. Does the entry requirement demand some previous academic engagement in the field? I have a master's in politics, but lately I've been working in the climate space. This sounds like a perfect sort of candidate that we tend to get. As I said, this is a very interdisciplinary program. We value the diversity of backgrounds, both in terms of education, but also in terms of geography. And this adds to the debates in ways that it's exactly what we expect our students to be doing, to come from different fields related to the sustainable urban development space, and be able to contribute to the debates in the lecture room. Next question. I'm an architect from South Korea and I'm very interested in this MSc. How many students are planned for admissions in 2026? So we normally have between 25 and 35 students. We have multiple deadlines throughout the year. The first two deadlines are actually where students become eligible for scholarships. After that, students are no longer eligible. So these are our average numbers, between 25 and 35 students yearly. Next question. What is the background of a typical applicant? Can someone with a background in design and architecture, but with no experience in urbanism, apply to the program? Yes, absolutely. I don't think we have a typical applicant. Well, the only thing that we want people who can contribute meaningful for the discussions around sustainable urban development. So either through a educational background, professional experience, or both. We tend to require candidates to have at least 2 years of professional experience, I'm sure you understand, to be able to contribute meaningfully to the debates around sustainable urban development. Exceptionally, we might accept a candidate who has no professional experience if their educational background is particularly, or educational achievements are particularly strong, and they can present a compelling case for why they should join a cohort that is a program that is actually focusing on working professionals. So next question. Are you able to share some examples of students' dissertation topics that you or other tutors have found particularly meaningful? Yes, absolutely. Let me tell you, for example, one of the students I supervised this year was looking into energy policy in the UK and try and understand how the structure of incentives was influencing key stakeholders. What was the direction of travel in general and the impact of policy in that direction of travel? So the student interviewed a number of stakeholders and reached their conclusions, which I won't share with you right now because the dissertation is still being assessed by my colleagues, so I'll park it there. Other topics that I've supervised involve, for example, housing, the provision of housing, uh, by whom, where, through what governance mechanisms, where are the funding streams coming from. We also look at climate change mitigation and adaptation. We might look at particular policies in general related to the built environment. There's a very wide range of exciting topics that the students can choose. Really, this is something that we expect them to become experts on. So it's quite a time commitment for the dissertation, and we expect students to choose something that they are quite passionate about and that they would like to see themselves considered specialists at the end of the journey. Let me see. In terms of group assignments, if they are part of the course, how is collaboration handled? There is no group assignments exactly because people are abroad. There might be a group assignment that is not assessed and happening in class during your residential teaching weeks. Otherwise, no group assignments. So I have a biologist, and I would like to know if there is a line of research in this area in the program, such as sponge cities, ecological corridors, etc. Well, yes, I think it's actually one of the emerging topics is biodiversity in cities. And part of that emerging debate of biodiversity in cities, there's, sponge cities, ecological corridors, blue and green infrastructure, the governance aspects of how to deliver this sort of infrastructure, but also the materiality. How do we actually, implement some of these ideas? So this is absolutely part of some of the aspects that, we consider core to sustainable urban development. Next question. Are there site visits that form part of the activities? Absolutely. Pretty much every teaching week, we have one afternoon walking around either Oxford or London to try and link it back, the theory and the practice, to what we see in the built environment, to train you to look at the built environment with a sustainable urban development lens. Next question. What academic background do students generally come from? I think I've addressed this question. So civil engineers, again, we tend to have a few, maybe not every year, but again, engineering is one of the areas that is heavily involved in the built environment. Therefore, we do have quite a lot of engineers in the program, perfectly good match. The next question, is it possible to switch from the master's to the DPhil program? No, these are independent programs that run parallel, and so they are different application processes. Next question, will the course include training in technical tools such as MATLAB, Python, economic methods, or econometric methods to support the development of economic models and enhance the quality of research? Right, so being a social science program with a limited number of hours, we don't go into the detail required to make you an expert in Python or MATLAB. However, our graduate school offers a number of training sessions related to a number of softwares and techniques which students can take. So, but this would be additional to the MSUD. Many of them are actually for free, but I mean require your additional time and additional commitment. Then next question. So each week we need to produce a dissertation? No, you'll be glad to hear. So one 10,000 word dissertation at the end of this 2-year journey. For every teaching week, you will be asked to submit an assignment, which ranges from 1,500 words until 3,000 words. What are the key factors determine whether a dissertation passes? What typically distinguish a strong piece of research from a borderline one? Well, we are here to train you in critical thinking. And by that, I mean, we want you to learn from others that before you consider the topics that you are now interested in. So say for example, you want to learn more about planning green corridors. What we would expect, both in an assignment, an essay or a policy analysis, but also at your dissertation, is for you to read what is known around green corridors. And you can ask many different questions. Where have they been implemented, and why and when, and how are they used? And has it been monitoring of the success of the use? Any correlation between health measures and the existence of green corridors, for example. And what we need to see is a robust overview of the knowledge that is out there and the capacity to sort through what are vast pools of knowledge organize it somehow in categories that are logical and comprehensible, and communicate them effectively, and creatively try and extract meaningful lessons from what is already known, and perhaps more questions at the end of the journey. In a nutshell. Okay, so we are getting close to the 45 minutes. I can't see any other questions on the Q&A function. I can see that we've answered 44 questions. I hope this was helpful, and I hope to eventually meet some of you in the near future. Have a lovely morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world. Take care. Bye.